I'm going to tell black history as though it happened to white people. Or I'm going to tell white history as though it happened to black people. Okay? Now, what this means is that black people had the idea to go to Europe and enslave white people and take those white people over to the Americas. And then what happened in the Americas was the same sequence of events leading us up to today, except that these two lovely beings are in the oppressor group, so to speak. Okay? They're the group on top. It's their ancestors who went to Europe and started a system of slavery to enslave their ancestors. So these two people here, your white classmates, what you're going to see as we go through these slides is they're on the bottom, okay? They're the minorities, okay? They're the minorities. They're the majorities. These are the people with power, okay? So keep this in mind. So what you're going to do, the two of you, is you're going to feel all the things that you're going to feel as I walk you through these slides. And remember, I'm going to talk about your history. And I'm going to talk about your history. So you need to feel the things that, like what it feels like to be on top, what it feels like to be the conqueror, what it feels like to be the oppressor. Okay? And you're to feel what it feels like to be oppressed. What's most important is when you see data on these slides, okay, and you see data for black people, it's black people who are on top. Black people, the oppressors. Black people who started a system of slavery to enslave the white people. So when you see the data on the slides of the white people, these are white people who have been victimized by black people. Okay? Are we good? Is everyone clear on it? Makes sense? So here's the slave route. Pretty straightforward. Here's what happened. And white people then became the enslaved peoples in the Americas. So here's white slaves picking cotton in 1853. Common image, common all over in the United States. White slaves picking cotton. These are your ancestors, okay? Here's white slaves in 1858, before we had this Civil War. You can see they're poor. These are the images that you grew up with. Here's wealthy black businessmen in New York City, 1859. This is a common sight. You know, your ancestors were running the country. So these kinds of photos were all over. These are the power brokers. This is what you're used to seeing to understand who was running the country. You know, well, it was these folks right here. National Negro Business League Executive Committee. So here's a middle-class black family doing quite well. You know, these are, this part of the, this community. And then we have the Civil War. And we have the Civil War because people started saying, hey, we can't enslave these white people anymore. Like, we can't do that. But their ancestors said, oh, yeah, we can. And we're going to do it. And so they put soldiers together and armed themselves, and they fought to continue to keep your ancestors in slavery. Okay? Y'all did that. That's your legacy, man. You know, your people did that. Protecting your heritage. They lost the war, so somehow, you got some kind of freedom, right? And then you have this reconstruction, because we got to now reconstruct the world. We got to reconstruct the South. But this is what it looked like for you all. We had these Jim Crow laws. They started in about 1877 to segregate because they were still in power. You weren't in power. You didn't get much of anything. But they were still in power. And they decided, hey, we got the power. We're going to rewrite the laws, and we're going to ensure that you don't gain a sense of equality with us. So we're going to separate everything. We're going to just keep it so that we continue to have the power. Okay? So the war ends. The war ended, but you all made sure that it didn't really end. So here's Reconstruction again. Poor white families, very common. Ku Klux Klan. Y'all, you couldn't just leave well enough alone. So what you had to do was you had to go send these militias out, because they had to make sure that they just held you in place. Even though slavery was over, they needed to re-enslave you in a way. So they put these militias together to ensure that you all would be afraid to stand up, to make demands, to make anything happen that would benefit your lives. And they just held it down. And so those are all black people under those hoods. And when things really got crazy, that they would come and they would take you away and they would kill you, because they could. And they ruled everything, and there was not a damn thing that you could do about it, because they ran everything. So those are your white ancestors. And then we look at this. This is great. On the left, those are white people, poor, because these are the images we're used to seeing. And look on the right, the happy black family. Got their house, got their little numbers. Maybe they have your white picket fence. You got it all. And look what you have, right? This is, you're living in probably sharecroppers and poverty. Who knows what y'all are really good at this. Anyone can be successful. The U.S. is the land of freedom. Y'all want to be successful? Just work hard. So here's all the young, these successful black women doing their thing. So 1964, the beginning of the civil rights movement. So because you all just refused to do the right thing, you refused again and again and again, finally, enough people in power say, you know what? Nah, we can't do this anymore. The separation, that's Jim Crow, the whole 9 yards. These people have been oppressed long enough, and we're going to start passing some laws. And at this time, 47% of white families live below the poverty line. So you're following this, right? Everyone's following this? Because in reality, I want to be really clear here. In reality, so we're now stepping outside of this role play. In reality, 40% of black families lived below the poverty line, okay? In 1964. But that's not where we're at, because we're in a role play. So in the role play, it's 47% of white families live below the poverty line. So you are living, that's what you come to understand. This is poverty. Of course, you all don't see that, because you're busy living your good life. So you don't see it. And look at that, man. Look at, the insulation on the wall? Can the two of you, can you see the newspaper on the wall? That's their insulation. Of course, you don't live like that, but eventually you all start to really rise up and have riots. And when you have riots, all those soldiers, those are black soldiers, and they came to put you down and kill some of you. And then what happens is you decide, hey, they start demanding their rights, and what you do is you riot. Your people riot. And why do your people riot? Because you don't want to give them anything at all. You don't want to give them anything. And so you're rioting. Why are they rioting? Because the government said that they had to allow you, your people, your ancestors, to go to school with their children. And they're like, oh, no, we're not doing that. And so they're rioting. It's like, damn, y'all, that's just cold. But we're all equal now, because we all have equal chances to succeed. Do we not? That's it, right? That's what it is. We're all equal now. We got equal chances to succeed. Got that? You remember that, because that's important that you remember that. You're all equal. You got equal chances. So let's look at this. So here, once again, these are these images we see all the time. White homelessness, white poverty, white people really just trying to just get by. We see these images. We talk about our cities and all the white people in cities, and you get tired of seeing all the white people in cities, and you're talking about it all the time, and you're like, wow, what the hell? What are we going to do with all these white people? But look at you. You see all the black people living the good life. Now, there are white people living the good life, too. And there are black people who are poor and living on the streets as well. That's not the case. But the images we see just again and again and again are these images. Let's look at median family wealth. We get up 2022. Look at y'all. Dan, look at that. Median family wealth. You're killing it. Oh, look at white wealth. These are real data, by the way. You got this? I flipped them. Past change in average household wealth. The blue is 1983. Red is 2013. So look what happens. In 1983, this is the average household wealth for black families. Y'all are doing quite well. On the left, right here. And white people, this is where you were in 1983. Okay? In 2013, y'all made some progress. But look at the progress that black people made. Here, let me show you. Let me show you where it's going to go in the future. You ready? Are you feeling this, by the way, you too? Are you starting to feel some kind of way about this? As they sit over there, look at, first off, this is all news to them because they don't study any of this. So they have no idea about your history and where you're at. They don't know. Like maybe they've heard about it. You read about it in, what do you spend, a couple days? Junior year of high school, you read about white history? Yeah, it's an elective kind of thing. Okay, so they don't really know anything about it. Here, let me show you this one. By 2043, if everything remained the same, here's where black people would be, right here. And look at where white people would be. But remember, what do they have to remember to do? Work hard?
We're all equal.
What's that?
We're all equal.
What is it? Wait.
It's the equal opportunity.
Yeah, dude, equal opportunity, man. Just get working. Work a little harder. Got it? Here, unemployment rates by race. Look at, is it surprising to you that the white unemployment rate is higher? Do you have any thoughts about why it's higher?
You know, it's just how they act. You know, I don't really, it makes sense.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
There's just something about them, you know, they don't really have that work ethic that we have.
Uh-huh. Would you agree with that? You got it?
I feel like it's probably generational, and usually there's the stereotypes of them not working hard, so it might have to do with that.
And so that their parents didn't work hard, their grandparents didn't work hard, and so they don't work hard. Huh. Life expectancy? What? How come you live a lot longer?
Even though we did commit redlining historically and controlled where they could and couldn't live based on how good the area is. And also, as a STEM major, I just remember this, but usually it's easier to dump toxic waste or pollute around their areas. So it's probably part of the reason.
Oh, might be that. Maybe they received like some,
Yeah.
Maybe it's also that they're more likely to be, I don't know, to drink, do drugs, live a bad lifestyle.
Yeah, we have put less good grocery stores in their area and more like liquor stores and stuff like that.
No, they did that.
Oh,
you didn't do that.
Right.
They did that. They opened more liquor stores in their neighborhood. You don't have that. Do you have liquor stores on all over your neighborhood? Hang on.
I mean, we don't really drink liquor like that, you know.
Yeah, all right. But they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's how they are. Huh. Oh, so here, the percent of white people who say they've been treated unfairly in everyday situations because they're white. Do you have a thought on that? Like
traveling to other countries and people stare at us, it's definitely unfair.
What do you think they think about you guys?
I remember in another class it was like, oh, we've never seen that type of person before, or
so
you just don't
people
recognize.
Don't see you.
Yeah, or like taking pictures because it's new to you, or like being made fun of or called slurs.
Oh, a lot of slurs against you all. Do you experience that? Did you experience that growing up? By black people, like calling you lots of slurs?
Not too often. Okay, yeah, all the time.
Yeah. All right.
Wait, to preface this comment, my cousins are from Trinidad and Tobago, but yeah, I try to get them to say it all the time, say the word.
All right. Here we go. These researchers they just sent out these resumes, and they're exact same resumes, and all they did was just change the name. And they changed the name to be names that would be more associated with black people. And just by doing that, they got more responses on their resumes. Nothing else, the exact same resume, right? The same thing. So man, look at that. And here, look at this. Male incarceration rates by race. Look at your incarceration rates compared to theirs.
There's a reason to explain that, though.
Oh, there is?
They do a lot of like gang banging and like those drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they do those music videos where they're just, targeting communities that I live in. I don't really feel safe anymore.
Dude, why do you make those videos about violence and stuff? Like, why do you do that? Because you know that when you do that kind of stuff, they're just going to hold that against you. Like, why do you continue? Why do you do that?
I think it's unfair to judge people based on the art that they create. I don't think it correlates with their lifestyle, maybe.
But is it part of like what your history is? It's like this is your lived reality, and so you're only making music based on your reality?
I think so few people are rapping about their reality. Like so many of my friends are like talking about doing drugs and like getting with a bunch of people, but none of the time it's true. It's just a trend.
Dude, so she's saying that white people don't do that. That's just like you're pulling out exceptions.
Based off, history, tends to repeat itself, and they do a lot of that.
So they do a lot of it. Yeah. Okay, all right. Here, look at this. Here's another one. This guy, white people are 3.5 times more likely to be killed by the police. Mostly black police, by the way. So that's you all. Do you feel some kind of way about that?
I mean, it's definitely unfair.
Yeah, that's a picture of a guy that got beat up by the police. He didn't do anything, by the way. Yeah. So when you see that photo, what do you think?
It's definitely profiling. I mean, they looked at me, wanted to find me, and went for it.
Do you want to say anything to them about that? Because you guys don't.
I don't see it as that because, it's Blue Lives Matter to the day I die. So if he got beat up like that, I think he deserved it. He probably did something.
He must have done something.
Yeah, I think even though statistically you guys are more likely to be pulled over and like killed and you have to code switch all the time when talking to the police, I think like you said, like Blue Lives Matter. And my dad's like a cop and like my family has a long history of being cops. So like I just know they wouldn't do anything bad.
Yeah,
even though
the
statistics and like the pictures and all the cases and the kids. Yeah.
So they must be causing it, right? I mean, if you're doing that, like this guy did something.
Knowing that the law enforcement system is targeting you because of your skin color
targeting you,
they're supposed to be protecting us, but we're getting arrested for smaller crimes or being punished more harshly. We've seen it all over the news and social media.
So is this like a racism thing that you guys talk about a lot in your white communities?
Yeah, there was fully a movement in 2020 for it.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Trying to call out the unequal treatment of white people.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And were you part of that movement? Because, you want fairness, right? You guys went out and...
Yeah, I feel like we tap into the movement every now and then.
Post a square on Instagram.
Yeah, just a square, nothing too much.
Yeah, huh, interesting. And here's another thing that you all do that's really interesting. Remember the Civil War that we talk about? These guys, what they do to keep you enslaved, okay? They'll do this thing where they do reenacting of the Civil War. Isn't that wild? Like they go and they get uniforms from the Civil War, from their ancestors whose sole purpose of fighting that war was to keep you enslaved. And then they start reenacting battle scenes. Here's this guy. He's a rally organizer. See the Confederate flag and stuff? They're flying that all around.
Hate that flag a lot.
Because why do you hate it? What's it represent?
Represents oppression and people's unwillingness to change, to forget the past and move on.
Yeah, why do you fly the flag? Why do you do that? Why do you do this reenactment stuff? What are you doing? Why do you do that? Why do you keep going? You know how they feel about it.
I mean, I'm liberal, so I don't want to I don't associate with that flag at all. When my grandma has it up at Thanksgiving, I just say, "Can you put it down, please? I'm trying to take a picture."
Okay.
It's big, make America great again, and
Oh, here.
I'm trying to get back to the good days. So, back then, this flag meant something. People respected this flag, and I think people are forgetting where.
What about what it means now, though?
So for them, but it's heritage. It's their heritage. So you all could just understand that. Do you?
It's not heritage, it's racism, racist history.
It's racist history
And
for
it's
you?
a sensitive topic to bring up and remind people of a time when people weren't trying to be seen as equal.
As two white people who have gone through the history that you've gone through, how important is history to you?
Extremely.
Why? What makes it important for you?
Occasionally, they say that we can't
Dude,
talk about slavery because it was oppression and everything.
The black devils are saying that
Yeah.
all the time.
And why should we stop talking about slavery when it happened? We can't just deny it. I was oppressed. Come on. It's an injustice to me to forget that it happened.
Yeah, why aren't you willing to have that conversation? What is it?
When things happen in our community that are detrimental to white people based on preconceived notions about us, then it's talked about and we try to fight back and fight the oppression, especially in my family. We talk about it a lot, about we are taught how to act a certain way to not upset people, to not be too aggressive.
To not accept them. To
Yeah.
not upset them.
Yeah, to not upset,
the black people.
Yep.
Yeah, I got you. What kinds of things are you taught in your family?
I know as a woman, sorry, this feels so weird. We're taught.
No.
To,
it doesn't feel weird. Go for it.
It's uncomfortable to talk like this. That's all.
No, you're good. You gotta, dude.
Okay.
You gotta go for it.
I got it.
You gotta go all in, my friend.
As a woman, we're taught that if we act out in any certain way, we're going to be seen as crazy. At a young age, we're taught to be super, extremely kind to police officers.
When did you first learn to be afraid of them?
Probably ingrained in us, and from media, and also family conversations and the neighbors that we have. I feel since our childhood, it's a part of deeply ingrained in our childhood, and that's why we have the ideologies that we have.
And what were you taught in your family about them, Colin? Yeah, what were you taught in family? White people, watch out for them because you know how they are. How are they? What were you taught?
You could just never really trust them. You don't never know their true intentions behind their mind. You don't know if they're what they really want to do. So just tell them to be aware. Be aware
constantly. Yeah. Well, because you have a long history. You all have a long history of oppression. So I guess you would have to have in your mind somewhere that they're gonna come back and take it out.
Rebel, yeah.
Huh. How often do you study white history, by the way? The two of you?
I don't study white history.
Yeah? You're not. Are you interested, though? Aren't you interested in what happened to them?
In high school, I had to do that, but I wasn't paying attention in class, so it doesn't really matter to me.
But didn't someone come along and say, yeah, but dude, look at...
Yeah, it comes up on my TikTok sometimes, if I don't press not interested fast enough,
Yeah.
or if I'm in this class, I might take a nap, but it might I might hear a little something about the black experience.
And what keeps you? But why though? It just seems so First off, it just seems so ignorant for you all. Given we just walked through their history, it just seems really ignorant of you all to
I think
not.
It's probably part of my group thinking. Usually I'm already surrounded by white people, and I don't always want to step out the norm. So if they're not
What do you
talking
mean?
about
You're
it,
always surrounded by black people.
Black people. My bad. Yeah, I go to a predominantly black institution, so I'm always around black people. So if I'm if they're not concerned about it, I'm not really concerned.
Do you have any white friends?
No.
Do you have any white friends? You got to have at least one white friend.
I got some coworkers that are white.
Yeah? Do you know? You ever been to their house?
Yeah.
You ever sleep over at their house? You ever been there?
No, we don't do that. That's a little too much. Between the fried chicken and the roaches, it's honestly too much for me to handle.
Dude, that's a stereotype, my
No,
friend.
it's the truth. I've seen it.
Dude, how many houses? You've seen it.
Like,
how many houses?
All right. I've only been to 3, but they're 3 for 3. So I don't know what
You
to
just
say.
wish you were invited to the cookout. Sorry.
Yeah. Wait, 3 for 3. So he's only been to 3. So wait, do you have anything you want to say to them though? They don't even know your people. They don't know your history. Like, what do you want to say?
If they grew up without it, what does it matter to them if they're not exposed to it too much?
Well, it matters to you though, because you still don't have a fair shot, because they've created a system to ensure that they get ahead and their children get ahead, and you don't get an equal shot. So how is that for you? How do you feel about that?
Things need to change, and education has to move so more white kids are or more black kids are experienced to the white history instead of just the slavery that we learned about in 7th grade.
Yeah. Okay. As a fellow white person, we're the 3 of us are together. Listen, Matt, it seems to me, honestly, it's like you guys pretend that it's all okay. You create a system that it seems okay, but it seems like you don't really care. And I feel some kind of way about that.
Well, we had a good system originally, separate but equal. You could have had...
No, but it wasn't fair.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If we, that's a little bit on our fault. I think if we did more on the equal side, this would have been great, because it would have been 2 sides, probably north-south, complete border. It probably would have been a good time.
Man, so you really honestly would go back to the segregation.
Like...
Okay, I feel like as a black person, right? As a black person, I don't really think that things are as bad as you guys make it seem.
Come on, man. You saw the data. You saw the data. How can you do that?
Yeah, the past is the past.
Dude.
So, now things are better, right?
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're not better. Dude, can you, respond to that? You guys saw that, right? You see the data. We see this all the time. It's like, why can't you see it? Why are you not willing to look at it? Does it piss you off as much as it make you angry as much as it makes me angry, by the way?
It makes me angry because the country keeps electing people who are taking even more spots of
who look like them.
Yeah.
And the people who they elect that look like us are the ones that are vetted by them.
Or relying on trickle-down economics, which never works because it just makes the powerful more powerful and the poor more poor. So as much as we can try, it's like the system is holding us back.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like even though our education system and our healthcare system and all our other systems are really based in these systems of oppression. And
that you created, by the way.
Right, that we created. We can have initiatives to reform that, but that was DEI. But we're about to get rid of that too.
But here's what I hear from you all from your people all the time, is that we're the ones that get in the way of that. It's not you. You set the systems up, but we're the ones that make it come crashing down. And frankly, I think that that's really just completely misguided. It's like you created the system, and you have the power, to move the system in some direction, but you're not willing to give up that power.
Yeah, I think it's because the average black person thinks that they have nothing to do with the system at all.
But you benefit from it.
Yeah.
You saw... Dude, remember the data on family wealth?
Oh, yeah.
Since you mentioned the healthcare stuff, everything has to be paid by someone, and us as white people having so much less wealth, we can't afford it, so that's why our lifespans are shorter.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, even experiment the Tuskegee experiments and stuff like that. I know you guys don't. You guys historically have been tested on to make these big scientific breakthroughs.
Yeah, okay.
Even Henrietta Lacks and all those things. But most people of power don't even count that as even impacting the systems that
Yeah, but
we operate in today.
Yeah, but it does, though, and you all benefit from it. Right? And you don't see it, and you're not willing to see it, and you're not willing to see that you got a head start. The majority of you, not all of you, but the majority of you got a head start. So these historical data on wealth and inequality and so on, we didn't start. Are you thinking that at some point we all became equal again? We all started at an equal place? Because we never did. So, like, how do you justify that?
After years of being up in this world and having someone to look down on, it's kind of hard to just say, let's be equal. Because then what do you want me to do? Do you want me to, like, sell my stuff to you so we can be equal in equity? Like, I don't know how this is going to work.
No, I think I want you. What do we want?
Like, what would you want?
What's
your reparations? What we
want is an equal opportunity. What we want is for y'all to stop discriminating against us when we submit resumes. Start treating us equal to you. But from the data, it's pretty clear you're not doing that. And you're not willing to look at it, because that's the first time you ever saw those data, right? As black people, probably? Yeah? Dude, we see this all the time, and that's the first time they even bothered to look at it. That's why they don't have any reasonable answers for us.
Yeah, I feel like someone has said this like before, but like usually Black people don't think like, they're like, oh, my ancestors did that, it wasn't me. But usually we don't like acknowledge that we still benefit in a lot of ways from the privileges that these systems of oppression give us. So you guys are making a lot of great points. I definitely see your perspective.
So the liberal, oh really?
Yeah. It's like I relate. I don't know. It's something innate. Yeah, I relate to you.
Okay,
guys.
it's because you come from a liberal family. You're more willing. You're more open. You're a more open-minded black person.
Oh, I don't know about that, but maybe.
Dude, how is it really how tired do you get to have these conversations? Are you having these conversations all the time amongst ourselves?
It's annoying because it feels like they never get anywhere. Nothing ever changes.
Yeah, because we're not having them with people who need to hear them.
And if we have them with black people, they don't see the same perspective. They don't have the experiences that we do, so they can't implement the change that we want to see.
Yeah, they don't see it. Yeah, that's how I feel like that. Like they're not willing to go there.
It sucks that it takes an army to remind people to treat another race as people, just that. But
well, it wouldn't seem like it would be that difficult.
it shouldn't be that difficult in 2025. But
Well, if you look at our history, you would think it would just be this kind of thing that people would be aware of. I mean, look at the number of people incarcerated, you know? Like that's us, man. Are you thinking that we commit that much more crime? That all of us deserve to be in prison and y'all have nothing to do with that?
I think marijuana and speeding plays a big factor in those things. So.
Yeah. Oh, but we don't smoke marijuana any more than you all do. A little bit more. Our marijuana usage or illicit drug usage is a little bit higher than yours. A little bit. But yet we're much
I think we
more likely.
also, don't we put those drugs in their communities? Yeah, I think we do. But
you became radical, not just
Yeah.
liberal.
yeah.
Yeah, well, no, this is what I was going to say, but you're all responsible for that.
It's not my partner. I don't know who this is.
Sorry.
All right.
You mentioned putting drugs and those kind of things in our neighborhoods, in our streets. Yeah, what about the disproportionately higher amount of Planned Parenthoods or gambling centers or other fast access to money and booze that you guys put in our neighborhoods?
Yeah, fast, like quick loan things. You all do all that too. You do it all. It's one thing after another. Yeah, because we want it.
Why do we need it any more than you?
Yeah.
Because we're up. We're already up. We're trying to do you a favor.
All right.
We'll give you a loan, go do something with your life and pay it off.
Yeah.
And you're going
Stop
to
complaining. That's what they say all the time. Stop complaining.
It's always our problem. I don't know how it's always our fault.
Yeah, interesting. It seems to me when I look at the history from our angle, the history that we all created here, but from our angle, it seems to me that it's pretty obvious that it's something that we ought to be thinking about, and you all ought to be thinking about. So maybe we'll get somewhere where we have more classes or more whatever where we think about that. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Hey, okay, we're not doing the role play right now, so we're out of it. For me, it's really hard to be the two of you, by the way. It's almost impossible.
I feel really bad.
No, you don't have to feel bad. It's really impossible. I've never done this and had white people be able to do it.
It's hard to come up with the right arguments.
No, but that's part of the issue. Like, you can't come up with arguments because you can't do those arguments, right? That's part of being white.
I think it shows that maybe we aren't as knowledgeable as we thought. Like, my cousins are black, but maybe I need to just ask them more about what I can do to make them feel more comfortable, or I don't know. It sucks that it's a known thing what we were saying, but haven't gone through. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's a known thing, and everybody knows that black people go through it, but it's
to differing degrees, right?
Yeah.
Because we've already talked about that. This is not extreme in two different directions, right? So I set this up as though it's kind of extreme, but it's to differing degrees. And I set it up so that we would see history and just see it in a slightly different way. All right? Hey, can we have applause for...